661 68th Place, Kenosha.
You muted, somehow it got muted. It's your
Are we
turn.
good?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sorry about that.
All right, thank you. Looking at me, you may never guess that I'm a recovering drug addict who in March of 2011 was facing over 60 years in prison for 5 felony drug charges. Prison is often the direction the court takes because they are sentencing the crime and not the person. The belief that a drug addict can change isn't even considered a possibility. Yet I stand here today in recovery instead of in prison as a productive member of society with the help of drug court, an 18-month intensive drug program as an alternative to prison, and it was my last chance. This was my journey. I'm the mother of 7 children, ages 10 to 25, and in 2008 I filed for divorce, leaving me to support 4 minor children on my own. I was working 3 jobs and my children were my entire life, and there was nothing that I wouldn't do for them. Until 2008, I had led a very productive life, but I found myself in a very tough, emotional, exhausted state, struggling with overwhelming responsibilities. I met someone who would change my life and forever, and one night, I made a life-altering choice. At the age of 41, I naively got involved in the use of cocaine, not realizing I would not be able to control its effects on me. I had never been around anyone who had used drugs before, and I didn't know the devastating effects it would have on my life. At first, it allowed me to work the long hours to support my family, but life changed very quickly. I was introduced to crack without knowing what it was, and my life went into a tailspin. I entered a world I knew nothing about. I got lost and forgot who I was. I started to lose the things that meant more to me than life itself. I barely noticed because I was so wrapped up in my addiction. My situation was not due to my upbringing, but just one bad choice, and it could happen to anybody. Drugs affect not only the addict, but the entire family. My kids and jobs quickly became a passing thought until I didn't even know they were there. By May, I had lost my kids and my house. My oldest daughter was diagnosed with cancer, and I was so deep in my addiction, I was not there for her. My soon-to-be ex-husband took my younger children away from me. I was not the mother they knew or needed. In October of 2009, I was arrested for my first felony drug possession charges. I was eventually sentenced to 2 years probation, and I remember that day very well. I was standing in front of the judge who told me I would never make it, but she was going to place me on probation anyway. She said that when I came back in front of her, she would give me every day I had coming to me, because how could a mother have done that to her children? I told my probation officer that I couldn't quit using on my own and asked for help. She told me we would discuss it next month when we met again, and that there was no support or help in dealing with my addiction. Regular probation consists of meeting an agent once a month and taking a drug test, questions about police contact, visits to bars and taverns, and if I drank or used drugs were the only questions. Nothing was asked about what help I was seeking, if there were resources I needed access to beat my addiction, or if there was anything she could do to help. It was an assembly line system where if you did things right, you got passed through. But if you failed, you were taken off probation and landed in jail or prison. The judge was right. 40 days later, I was arrested with 4 more felony drug charges. I was headed for prison, and I knew this meant that I wouldn't see my children grow up. They would all be adults by the time I was released. Reality hit me in the face, and I had time to reflect on where my life had gone and realized I didn't even recognize the person I had become since drugs had taken over. I knew who I used to be, and I had no idea if I'd ever have the chance to be that person again. I was given a life-changing opportunity when I was accepted into drug court in March of 2011. They offered me the help and support I needed to turn my life around and overcome my addiction. Mandatory weekly court appearances, weekly PO visits, 2 to 5 drug tests a week, weekly counseling, and weekly community support meetings are only a small part of the program. Drug court provides all of this while participants are living in the community. The entire drug court panel is involved with all aspects of our lives and show genuine concern of all our problems and gives us encouragement every step of the way. If we need something, we ask, and they will help us. We learn how to make life changes for success and to handle the problems and issues for which we use drugs to hide from. They require employment and job searching or school enrollment. If we relapse, we're given a second chance, support, and additional resources to avoid relapse instead of going back to jail. They help us build the foundation on which to build our lives. In August of 2011, 6 months after getting into drug court, I became employed full-time as an administrative assistant for a company I'm still employed with today. I'm also a full-time student at the University of Parkside, and this December I'm going to be graduating with high honors with my general business degree, double concentration in general business and human resources, and my certification in project management. I know I would not be where I am today if it hadn't been for drug court, if drug court wasn't an option. I would be in prison right now, and my children would not have me in their life. It is because of the resources that were available in this program that I was able to overcome my addiction and break old patterns. This is an amazing, life-changing opportunity for some people. This program will not work for everybody, but nothing is 100% effective. For those who benefit from this program, no price can be placed on the value of what we are given. I remain active in the drug court program today as a graduate from October of 2012 to show support for those individuals that are still in the program. All I ask is that you please show your support for this program and help give somebody else the opportunity that I was given. Life as an addict is no way to live. Drug court has been the first program I have found where the court system actually tries to give participants the skills to break this cycle and encourages each person every step of the way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good
Name and
evening.
address.
Thank you. My name is Violet Ricker. I live at 32 North Genesee Street in Waukegan, Illinois. I'd just like to briefly introduce myself. I'm the new Executive Director of Downtown Kenosha, Inc., and I wanted to thank the county for their continuing support to the Kenosha Area Business Alliance. I look forward to working with you all very closely as we work to revitalize the downtown district, and I'll be here as you'd like to give you updates on the progress that's being made down there. Thanks very much.
Thank you. If you could give Jenny one of your cards so that I can get it and contact you. I have some questions and ideas for you. Okay, announce anybody else wishing to speak? Anybody else wishing to speak? Anybody else wishing to speak? Seeing nobody else, citizens' comments are closed. Announcements of the chair. I have no announcements tonight. Supervisor reports. I don't know if I wiped out your button, so any supervisors that have any reports, you might need to, there you go. Supervisor Elverman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly from parks, facilities, golf, highways. As we all know, the spring weather has not been kind to the golf industry or any outdoor activity, so we're definitely behind on golf rounds. I believe last night the number was 6,000 rounds behind. We also have the air conditioning out at the Brightondale Golf Course. I know we discussed that last week. We put funds together to have that replaced. It's going to take approximately 3 more weeks for people to have the materials that we need, because in this economy people aren't carrying inventory. So if we do get into hot weather, we're still going to have a hot indoor for the golf course. If you've been reading the paper recently, they announced that there was emerald ash borer in the Salem community for the first time, and that is in our Fox River Park. We discovered it last week. One of our staff, Nick Murphy, saw it. We took care of it immediately. It's been cut down and removed. Now that wood will be stored for 2 years and then be safe for consumption. But that is the emerald ash borer that was announced in the paper in Salem Township. The waterproofing that we discussed last meeting is going to begin on this building within the next 4 weeks. And the 60th Street Tower replacement is also something that was at the City Council, I believe, last evening. We don't know the outcome of that, but we're progressing apparently to where we'll be going on that before fall. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Alverman. Did we get the final numbers in on what the restoration for this building would cost, or did we just get the waterproofing piece?
The waterproofing, and we don't have the final numbers on the restoration, but I mean, the initial report that we did discuss here was $2.4 million. We don't have the final numbers, no.
When are you expecting that?
I believe by next meeting, we should have that.
Okay. Thank you.
And that would be for the, naturally, the 2014, 2015 budget.
Thank you, Supervisor Alverman. Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to update the board on a question that Supervisor Bruning raised last meeting about the cabaret license not having diagrams or stage locations. Most of everything we've gotten since I started as chairman have all been either probationary to regular cabaret license or renewals. You do not need a diagram or description for that. You only need it for going when you're applying for a probationary cabaret. That's when you have the venue and the stage set up, so on and so forth. So all these have been renewals or from probationary to regular. So just wanted to give the board an update on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. Supervisor Hallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of items from the Human Services Committee. At our last meeting, in addition to the appointments sitting on your desk, we discussed the quarterly financials for last year, the closeout, not quarterly financials, but the closeout financials for last year. I'm sure those will be coming to you as they tidy up the last bit of those numbers. We also covered the Affordable Care Act. As some of you may recall, sort of a brief crash course on this. As part of the income maintenance program, where we are wrapped into the income maintenance consortia with Racine County, the governor's budget is expected to be granting to Kenosha roughly $3.4 million, some just a little bit north of that, so that we can add staff to our income maintenance to address the changes happening to Badger Care, coupled with the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. So of course you'll see a lot more coming up on that. That's approaching very soon. Sign-up deadline for that, I believe, is October 1st, so there'll probably be a lot of information coming to us about that. We also received via email some updated statistics about our drug court program. I don't know if all county supervisors got that. If not, see me. I'll make sure that you get it. Just one quick item out of there is that the third baby from that program has been born drug-free, which is a huge positive. So the third child born from someone in that program that's been born drug-free. So it's good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hallman. Seeing no more lights, we'll move on to new business.
Resolution 17 from the Human Service Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Supervisor John O'Day to the Brookside Board of Trustees. Hallman, yes. Boyd Frederick, absent. Anita Johnson, yes. Decker, yes. Arrington, absent. Montemero, yes. Nudo, yes.
Supervisor Hallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If there's no objection, I'd like to move 17, 18, and 19 upon being read.
You have an objection to that, Ewan? Okay. All right, we'll take them all at one time.
Resolution 18 from the Human Service Committee, a resolution to approve the reappointment of Robert Pitts to the Brookside Board of Trustee. Hallman, yes. Frederick, absent. Anita Johnson, yes. Decker, yes. Arrington, absent. Montemero, abstain. Nudo, yes. Resolution 19 from Human Service Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Dr. Diane Gerlach to the Kenosha County Board of Health. Hallman, yes. Frederick, absent. Anita Johnson, yes. Decker, yes. Arrington, absent. Montemero, yes. Nudo, yes.
Items 17, 18, and 19 were moved by Supervisor Hallman, seconded by Supervisor Anita Johnson. Supervisor Hallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All of these appointments were approved unanimously. I know we're all very familiar with the gentleman in item 17. Some of us, the one in 18 and the one from 19 is new, but again, they were all approved unanimously. So I believe we do have Ms. Johnson from the Health Department if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hallman. Anybody have any questions about those appointments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 17, 18, and 19 are passed.
Claim Joseph Ticer, vehicle damage.
Refer to the Corporation Council.
Approval of the May 21st, 2013 minutes by Supervisor Anita Johnson.
Supervisor Anita Johnson. Supervisor Johnson makes the motion to approve the minutes, seconded by Supervisor Nudo. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Any opposed? Those minutes of May 21st are approved. It's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Nudo to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.